Awesome. Welcome everyone for a special training on, this is a topic that we don't hear enough of. I'm just going to make sure everyone's on mute so that doesn't interfere. Awesome. Welcome everyone. Thank you for all coming in. And so this is a topic that we don't hear enough of, or I think we can always hear more of, is the art of not giving a fuck, like what people think, and being our true self, So I brought on Angelo as a guest here because I've been following Angelo for a few years now, and we just vibe so well because Angelo is just so, he's always just like pushing us out of our, a little bit further in how we can communicate, how we can share this information. And what I love about Angelo is health, like a lot of the health people, all these like health gurus and everything, it's like they take themselves so seriously. And I think we need some more comedy in the health world. So if you think that is true too, and if you think that is like definitely what, we need to also just reach more people is through humor, follow Angelo. He's, everyone knows Rhizome. I'm sure everyone's already following. So Angelo.
Good day.
Good day to you. Thank you so much for coming here and sharing this wisdom with us. And I know a lot of it does just come kind of like naturally, but were you always this real and open?
Actually, I've been faking it the whole time. So I'm glad you're buying it.
I knew it.
No, my name's not even Angelo, to be honest with you.
Right on.
No, but seriously though, guys, thank you for having me. It's a real honor when you get the call from Allison and Jared, you pick up the phone, so always these guys have been supportive of me as a friend first and foremost. And I think that's the most important thing in my life is friendships. I mean, people have different reasons behind why they do what they do. Some people it's because of a professional financial goal, and that's great too. We all need that to make ends meet. And for other people, they're more emotionally based. And for most of us, it's a combination of the two. But I think for me, I'm very much like, I'm looking to build community and hoping and praying that as a result of this, as a symptom of this, that the fortune, the abundance will follow. And so far, it's been pretty good for me. Not where I want it to be, but that's probably what drives me, is to want to continue to grow and to continue to become more successful. And watching friends like Allison and Jared, and I see that Dominique is on here too. And who else do we got on here? Oh, and Dominique's beautiful sister, my Cancer sister, are on here too. So we are all here to support each other in this business of life. That's what it is before it is anything else. So for a long time in my life, to answer your question more directly, I was very focused on impression management. I wanted to fit in at all costs. I mean, when I was like in 8th grade, I think I had to get glasses, and I was like, oh my God, now glasses are cool. But back when I was a kid, wearing glasses meant you're a total loser. And, you had to try to get contacts so no one would know that you had these. Now people get glasses without prescriptions and lenses in them. So, but back in the day, I was like, I really wanted to be cool. I wanted to get the Z Cavaricci jeans and the, like it looks so ridiculous, man, with those friggin' pleats and the thing on the fly zipper. But anyways, I was like, whatever it would take. If someone told me like tying a bag over my head was the thing to do to be cool, I would have done it. So it took a long time. I think one of the greatest blessings for me in my life was losing my health. Losing my health made me put a lot of things into perspective. And MC Hammer pants, most definitely. I actually had a pair of those. Hammer was like my hero at one point, but that doesn't really say a lot because so is Pac-Man and so is the Gremlins. But basically, where was I going with that? Oh, so I used to really just want to do anything to fit in at the compromising my own self, and being, whoever I thought everyone else wanted me to be. And when you're doing that, you're really not being anything. You're not attracting the right people if you're just trying to be who you think you're supposed to be. you know, and people do that all the time. You see it. And when I started in this business of network marketing, I've never done anything like this before. I've only been in it for about a year and a half, or not even. I just went in all in talking about health because I'm a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with a brain tumor about almost 8 years ago. And after that happened, it didn't happen overnight even then, but what happened for me was like, why do I have to be so worried about what people think about me? I've almost lost my life and all this other stuff happened. So now I'm going to live life the way I want to, instead of doing the same thing, trying to spend money I don't have to please people I don't even know, that don't really even care about me. I just decided to be more authentically myself. I still work on being more authentic today because I'm not the most authentic version of myself I can be. I know that. Everyone has an ego. Everyone wants people to like us. Posting the most flattering shots of ourselves on social media. I don't do that. As you can tell, I am like, have a receding hairline, you know, and the head radiation and the hair's falling out a little bit, but I look pretty damn good because I eat Purium every day, all day. So, you know, my dad would say you can only polish a turd so much, but like, really, I don't think I'm a turd. I think I'm a beautiful being of light. So I'm going to stick with that. So basically, how do you not give a shit? Well, that's like saying, how do you try? You just do it, right? I do give a shit. I really do. And I put a lot of thought into most of the things that I put online. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, I have an impulse to post something and I'm going to go on and post it. Or I'm going to talk about something. If you follow me closely, you probably hear a lot of repetition, and that's not designed for a fan base. That's designed for new people coming into, you know, who don't know me and don't know anything about me. And I would encourage you to always be yourself and to always be authentic to yourself as much as you can. Now, like I said, I'm not always authentic. I'm going to be honest with you. We all aren't. We all want to be loved and accepted and be a part of something greater than ourselves, I think. And we all want to be a part of community. So when I find people in this world, and I'd say fortunately and unfortunately, I find people like Jared and Allison over here who are not on my team. And like Deanna and Dominique and a lot of you guys out here, Kimberly, people that I don't actually work with, but are like my friends, like that's important, because at the end of the day, if all of this falls away, it's just people, right? It's just people and community. And, you know, you always have family when you have friendships. Sometimes you don't have real friendships in a family, a blood relation family. And it's great to see the sisters here that, you know, they have each other. That's very rare. That's a rare blessing, to have someone you can be authentically yourself with and that they love you, and having a partner like Allison and Jared have each other. But when you're alone and you have to be authentically yourself, I say just be as goofy as you want to be as real as you want to be. If you're not a goofy person, don't try to be funny. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. You know, I've always been into art and comedy. That's something that I grew up with my family. My father was a joker, you know, he's a jokester, not in the most positive light. Sometimes it was like we were the ones at the butt of the joke as little kids, but you know, we all do what we can. And I hope that is answering some of what you're asking.
You've answered already like 3 of my questions, but like, well,
read her mind. And
so, because I was going to ask you, you know, so, but by the way, I just want to address like what you just said. Like, yes, I mean, I think that it is so important to have, well, so, okay, just a few things from what you touched on already was the building community. And in order to build community, it's important that we are ourselves, because like, if we don't, you know, our vibe attracts our tribe, right? Like that saying. And it's so true that if we don't show up, we're not going to attract, if we don't show up like, you know, as ourselves, if we don't attract the people that are really meant to like, you know, that would relate with us and that would actually need us to be ourselves and give us that permission. So I love that that's your, like, that's also as well my, you know, coming into Purium, it was a big thing was building community, because we need community for survival. Like, we are social creatures and all of us do want to fit in, but we don't need to fit in with just our immediate like people that are in our proximity. Like, you know, now with the internet, we could find people all over the world that that can be our community, which we found here from, like, you know, everyone here. So that's incredible. And that, you know, you touched on that, it took you to get really sick for you to realize, you know, that you, so what I was going to ask you is, maybe this is answering that question, but was there like a particular defining moment that you stopped caring? Was there, or would that be when you got sick? Did that just kind of go away, or was it someone inspired you, or?
I think it's interesting that not caring can be seen as a blessing, but it also can be seen as a curse too. You know, it's good to care about people, but not at the expense of your own integrity and your own like knowledge of self, because, you know, Bruce Lee says all knowledge is knowledge of self. So how well do you really know yourself? Is your humor coming from a place of pain? Is it deflection, or is it transmutation? So I try to make it more of the latter, because I don't want to feel that I am using humor just as an escapist tool. You know, I want to use humor to make people feel good about themselves, to feel free and to feel liberated and to feel like they have purpose, that they can be, look at me, I'm a goofy looking guy with a hunchback and a bald head and a funny beard and a big nose. And if like I can embrace health and talk about health to people and make them get healthy and realize their best version of themselves, then why can't anybody? You know, there's people out there with no arms and legs that are like doing the same thing, and or whatever it is. You know, that's just extreme examples, but like there's people that do anything you want to set your mind to. Like I think the biggest limiter in all of this is people overthinking, because overthinking is catabolic, always thinking about calculating every move and worrying about every move and living in this like apprehensive fear state all the time. Just figure out who you are, what makes you happy. And, you know, I've been chasing paper really hard. And the more you seem to chase after just the paper, the money, the further away it seems to go. And you're never happy, no matter how much you get or whatever it is. Maybe it's not money. Maybe it's like approval from your upline or your downline or your family or your friends or whoever it is. You know, be true to yourself. And I have to continue to work on this, because it's not always that easy. There's days where I feel like I wish I could just escape and go back. You know, I'm a recovered alcoholic. I used to work in the craft beer industry, and I had lots of friends, and everyone loves you when you're like a leader in an alcohol beverage world, and you know, you're the life of the party and you're the king enabler of amongst all these people. You're making everybody laugh there too. But then like, how do you transmute that into making people, or not making people, but enabling people to feel good in their own element, in their own skin? Because a lot of people come into this for different reasons. Some people come into this because they want to be beautiful, like the Jeffrey sisters. I mean, look at them. If I was going to want to be like them, I'd feel broken, ashamed of myself every day. I mean, or, you know, it's like, it's what are you in this for? Like, do you want to be in this because you've had sickness and you want to overcome it? Now, it might be both. Like people might just judge one person because they think, oh, well, they have it all. Look at their beautiful body and all this money, but there's something else inside of them that's eating them, you know? So to me, it's just, you know, health is ultimate. And once you have health, then you have the freedom to worry about all those other things. Oh, well, now I need money. Now that I have health, I need money. Now that I have health and money, I need to look better. Now that I have health and money, I need to have a family. I have to have this, I have to have that. And it becomes more and more superfluous. It becomes more and more extraneous, and people are just looking for more all the time, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, that's how we live in a capitalistic society. But by the same token, you know, like I think it was like Sadhguru or somebody else says, if you give a man the world, he'll want, you know, the stars, he'll want more. He'll just keep wanting to go and get more for himself. So where do we draw the line? Well, gratitude, sitting in gratitude and service is where it is. And lately, I'll be honest with you, I haven't been feeling very good. I've been traveling a lot. And for me, traveling is not working necessarily. You can do both, but I've been stepping away from really working on my business. And it shows in the bank account, but with that, there's a trade-off. There's a trade-off for like maybe not working so hard because I have this freedom working in network marketing with a great company like Purium, to having freedom and getting to go visit my 81-year-old father on the East Coast, going back home to where I grew up and seeing all these things which I haven't had a chance to do in a long time. So it's always recalibrating everything at the equilibrium on the fulcrum of life, so I don't know. I don't have the answers to how to be happy and successful. It's fleeting all the time.
Let's take it bite size. Okay. So, because you said, you used to be in the alcohol world and everyone loved you when you were, pushing alcohol. And isn't that true? Like, it's like almost people love you when you're sick and miserable. Like there's more, sometimes, that's why a lot of people even get they form identities with their victim or their like bad things in their life, because honestly, misery loves company. A lot of people don't like you when you're happy, and they don't like you when you're, or the right people do. Wait, let me tell you, the right people do. But when we're, used to a sick society that that most of us grew up in, when we start to, heal and thrive, some people it's going to, disturb people. And so some people don't want to, they get kind of blocked from that. They're like, everyone is like, when they join in, like when they start to do this gut repair and they start to feel better, and people start to like hate on them a little bit more and be like more, it's scary. And a lot of people think I can't, like, they almost give up sometimes even before they dive in because they can't handle that. But yeah, definitely that something I want to say is health is never going out of style. So, one thing that we can be sure of in this industry is like, we're talking about health, and we're talking about the health of the planet and our health. And that's one thing that, whether the haters, you got haters, they're going to at one point remember your words and probably be coming back to you, or they'll be going to someone else who said the same thing, because eventually it's going to, whether they realize it or not, I mean, health, it does catch up, and everyone at one point needs to go deeper into their healing. We're all going to be, yeah. So I love that, that's true when you said that people loved you when you were preaching the whole like toxic lifestyle. We may make a lot more, we may be more popular with the mainstream, but yes, health is never going out of style. So if we, align ourselves with health and good, collective goodness and, the right thing, then we're going to find other people like how we've all found each other here, who are on that same wavelength. And this movement, by the way, we have like the biggest influencers in the world right here. So it's like, we're growing, like, it's like, yeah, no, we got some big, like, we're all of us here are influencers, but there is some like big, a lot of people who came from that toxic lifestyle have had their health catch up with them, and have had that wake up and are now on our side, and more people are going to be coming onto our side. So as long as we stay in our truth of health, it's just going to keep on attracting more and more people and growing. So that's amazing. And I love that, you are taking, you honor yourself, right? Because we're not always on, and we're not always feeling like posting, but is there something, do you have like a consistency? I know you say you post very sporadically depending on your mood, but do you have a non-negotiable, like that, you're going to be consistent every day with something out there to the world?
Yeah, I try to sleep every day. I try to, well, that's a joke, but yeah, I do try to sleep every day. I try to get a regular sleep schedule. And that's something that's one of the pillars of health that I'm working on the most, is having good sleep. I think it's one of the most overlooked ones for most people, is sleep. Like, we have this attitude of, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Well, that might come sooner than later if you don't, take care of yourself and let your body rest. Just like we always talk about, giving your gut a rest. Well, you need a rest too. I also think that for me, having community and talking to my my closest people every day. And it's you guys and, you know, Mallory and Rama Hayes and the people on here who like are my close friends. I mean, my team is my family, really. I didn't just, you know, pick them because I want to make money with them. I picked them because that's my family. That's my soul tribe, you know? So, and they picked me too. So it's not just necessarily that, you know, misery loves company, like, because that is true, but like you are what you attract and you attract what you are on a level. So I think that's definitely
What
true.
I
You
meant
see
by
it.
that though is that, you know, hurt people, heal people, right? There's like, but when we're coming from a past that's more toxic, as we start to heal, they don't like us anymore because, you know, for me personally on social media, I used to think I was being authentic, but I was being authentic to where I was at, but I was sharing like a lot of, you know, FML shit, you know, like fuck my life, this happened. And like people loved that. It was like I was like getting all the, you know, we were all binding together with our misery and stuff. But I lost a lot of those friends, which is a blessing in some way because, you know, when I started to do Purium and heal, and then I wanted to bring all of them on with me because I was like, you guys, I found the solution. And they were like,
Yeah.
oh, now you're trying to scam us. So like I lost a lot of friends, but you know, yeah, when we're in a healed community, it's really beautiful because we want to just keep on nurturing each other when we're healed. It's just like there's such a beautiful, yeah.
I found a lot of new people when I lost a lot of old people, you know, and like Facebook is a great example of that because Facebook's something I've probably been on Facebook since the day it started, you know, it's been years. I don't even know. But you can see like if you get those flashback moments where it tells you on this day, whatever, 10 years ago, it's like, what was I? Look at me. I'm all inflamed and like I'm just sick and not doing so well for myself. And I felt all right at the time because that was normal for me. But these days, I don't think that just like upsetting people or having haters is a bellwether of whether or not you're making progress, because a lot of people are just out there to shock and offend. Too, I try to be mindful of not letting my ego run away with the show, but I think that a lot of people do feel threatened when they see the people around them ascending in some way or changing. I know when I was younger and my brother, you know, he was getting married and having kids and he stopped drinking and doing other things like going out and getting high. And me and my friends that were hanging out with my brother were like, man, he's like sold out, man. He's no fun anymore. He's too good for us. And I didn't get that attitude because like you just want to belong and you're going to resonate at the same frequency as the people that you know, attract or that attract you. So these days, I post things that are a little bit like provocative because I speak out against vaccinations. I speak out against pharmaceuticals that are non-FDA approved. I talk about things on a political scale that has to do with health. I don't just go out there to stir the pot and make people feel upset. I talk about things that are true to me, that are very personal to me, because I've lived on 10 different anti-epileptic medications at one time. I've been dependent on lorazepam, clorazepam. I've been on benzodiazepines, all this other shit. And I'm like, this is not a path to health. So I'm very passionate, and there is anger involved in that because it is an anger of mass deception that I believe. And you have to go with your truth. So if that's my truth and you're in the minority in these, and it feels like we are because we're being censored when we talk against certain things, then I think you have more of a right to voice it. And now we're seeing censorship on these social media platforms when you start to talk out against it. But one reason I know that we're winning is that I get like 40 shares when I post something that's about, you know, my truth concerning the inefficacy, inethicalness of vaccines, and people are like, they're banning it. They're showing like fact checkers, and I look and I check the fact checkers to see who these fact checkers are. They're private companies, they're independent companies hired by Facebook, or they're like Gannett Company, largest media conglomerates in the world. And people are so easy to want to resonate at that frequency of these mass media companies, and they don't even realize that the fact that they're doing that maybe is because everyone else that they know is doing it too. It's a sense of wanting to belong. I don't think it's nefarious or malicious. I think it's just that people want to be connected. And I think even through negative vibes, that's a way to do it for people. And we all do it. I still do it in some ways. I'm negative and I'm like, look at that guy over there wearing 2 masks in the park, riding a bike by himself under, so I try to curb that and try to find compassion in people, that they're on their own path. Don't try to change the people, because when you get into doing something like organic superfoods, you want to help the people that are obese the most, or people who are sick or suffering, and they come to you and like, tell me how to do it, because they're looking for a magic pill. They're not looking to know that even with Purium, sure, it makes it easy. It makes it a lot easier than a lot of other things out there, because it's 5 scoops and you're out the door. It's not like I got to go buy organic produce, buy a juicer, juice it, clean it up, do this stuff, exercise, breath work, cold showers, everything that it takes. Because I've done all those things before Purium, and I'm not the person that probably needed Purium the most of everyone that is out there, because you can do this stuff without it. I'll be honest, like, I'm not going to say Purium is the only way. It's not, but it's the easiest and most affordable way that I've found to do it. So that's why I promote it, because if you don't think that your life is worth $11 a day to do like an ultimate lifestyle transformation, then you got to recalibrate where you're at in your life, because you are the most important thing in your life. You can't have anything else without you. So that's why I'm so passionate about this. The integrity of, David Sandoval, one of the co-founders of Purium, and his vision of 30 years. And we're getting deeper and deeper into this hole of people being inflamed. I mean, when I went back to the East Coast, everybody there, like, not everybody, but I'd say like 70% were not just overweight, they were obese. Like on vacation, there was not many healthy options. If you live on the West Coast or somewhere where there's like good climate, you're lucky because you get access to good food. But out here, you don't. Like in America in general, there's food deserts all around. So having this access and trying to normalize health is a challenge in this world. And the people that are most receptive to this message already know that as a truth. So you're preaching to the choir of people who just haven't found your brand of health, which for us is Purium. But a lot of people out there are not going to be like, okay, I'm like 40% overweight and I'm going to do this because I just need to do it. That's usually not the case. It's usually people that are already on the path. And we have to accept that. We can't just drag people onto the path with us that aren't open to our message and being kind and compassionate, the kind human, tribe over here.
Yeah. We have so many tribes here. I love this collective, but yeah, that's like definitely, there's so many different ways like that people can do this, but Purium is just so easy. And the right people, like we're attracting the people who are on their healing journey. So we're not attracting the people who are like not there yet. We're attracting the people who have already taken those steps, like you said, the cold showers and the breath work and yoga and all of those. Usually the people like all of us together are people who have been exploring other modalities, and they've come to Purium, and it's like it's home. Did you have any?
Yeah, I just think like it's an important mission. Clearly, we're trying to inform people about gut health, raise awareness, and we're up against some major competition. Big tech, like big pharma, big food. Like we're trying to disrupt all that. So it's no easy feat. And I think our way to do it is like what you're doing, is through humor and through love, and sharing things that
And authenticity,
which will resonate ideally. So I'll just, because I'm kind of in the background a lot with Allison's, her optics, right? I post a little bit myself, but I've been kind of the like guy behind doing the tech stuff. So I've witnessed her transformation, and initially she was very concerned, like most people are, about her optics, how she's seen by the public. So
it would block me so much. Like I would have blockages. I'm like, I want to post this, but I know I'm going to get hate for it. And like, I don't know what to do. It was so stifling. But you know what? It wasn't until I saw people like you, Angelo. And so this is why I want to have you on, because I want people to see, and it's why I do what I do as well. And when I asked you if you did non-negotiable, I mean, do you post every day? Because the reason I'm out there every day is because I needed to see someone like myself, or I needed to see someone being authentic out there for me to get the permission to do that. So I know that what you're doing is affecting people in so many more ways than you can even imagine, in just liberating,
Yeah, seeing you in your underwear doing what you do, I'm like, I'm taking my shirt off. Like, fuck it. Like, Angelo could do it. And, just humor is key, because it's so much seriousness right now that we'll break through. We'll make health and healing cool if we just are representative of the lifestyle and we're having fun doing it. You know what I mean?
It goes beyond that too. It's beyond health. It's about self-love, because once you have self-love, then health and healing can come into play. Like, even if you're overweight, you don't have to feel ashamed of your body, and I'm not talking about normalizing like obese people on the cover of glamour magazines and stuff like that to try to say like you're shaming. No one should shame anybody. Like, that's obvious. We're not here. I grew up in the Catholic Church. I know all about guilt and shame and, punitive mindset. And I don't, it's about loving yourself. And then when you can love yourself, you can love other people, and you're not concerned, what is someone going to think about me? We seem like we're so concerned about what strangers think about us more than we even care about what our own partner or family thinks about us. It's like, it's real though. You get on an elevator, you want to be like, oh, I'm going to be all good. But if you're around your family, you'll say the most fucked up stuff to them. They've got like, hey, what's up? Yeah, like, fart in front of them or whatever. It's like, it's nobody cares. Like, it's just be you. And then if you're like, who is it? Vision Lakhani, he says, be unfuckwithable. I like that. I like, don't let anyone lower your vibe, man. Just do what you want to do. And of course you're going to get your vibe lowered at times, because you're human and you got an ego, and you like, everybody messes up and does stupid shit. So
perfect.
It's all good.
Yeah, we're vulnerable. We're on our journeys. We're healing, and no one's more transparent about that than you. So, what would you recommend for people who are like struggling with self-limiting beliefs? Like, they want to have like a curated life that they're portraying. They're maybe too careful, like Allison was with posting. Like, just to like get out there. Like, what would you suggest, like, as a mindset or even content wise?
Listen to Brene Brown on repeat. No, I know that's what everybody says, but like, yeah, anything you want to do that you're not really adept at or as comfortable with as you want to be, you just got to keep practicing until it becomes less difficult. I mean, that's just the way it is. Like, even when I like was diagnosed with epilepsy and had a brain tumor, and I kept trying to drink because it was comfortable. It was what I knew. And I would like black out after like 1 or 2 beers and fall downstairs and, do all this crazy stuff. So it's just a matter of like, okay, becoming self-aware is the first step of any change that you're going to make. Becoming self-aware, and the power of putting pen to paper or pencil to paper is huge, because when you write it, you externalize it from yourself. So it's not just this catabolic self, this dialogue going around in your head. Putting it out there, it just gets it out of you. Some people like to do like full moon rituals where they write stuff and they like burn it under the moon or whatever, getting rid of old things. So writing it down and then becoming self-aware, and like you can even mark it on a calendar, like, okay, I'm sober today, or I'm my first day of going for a 3-mile walk or whatever it is, and you mark it in the book. For me, I have this part of me, I did internal family systems work where you learn about all these different parts of you, and they're all survival mechanisms. So think about the worst part of you that you don't like. The person maybe is an alcoholic, or you're like a judge, or you're like critical, or whatever it is. That is a part of you that has helped you to survive to this point because of something that you've been through probably earlier on in life than you can remember. And you probably got it from one of your parents or someone very close to you. So for me, it's always been a judgmental part. It's always been self-deprecation and alcohol and all this other stuff, trying to escape,
Mhm.
And so those things came from a place that helped me to live, because if without those things, believe it or not, like being an alcoholic or a heroin addict or whatever it is, you might not be alive today if you didn't go through that and have that part of you that actually saved you from like dying or killing yourself or whatever it was. So, but once you learn that that's what it is, it's just a part, it's not your wise self, it's not your self with the capital S, then you can realize that, okay, what would that self say? What would my truest version of myself say? The healthiest, cleanest, most vibrant version of myself do? Or for some people, what would Jesus do, right? Your Christ consciousness, whatever it is. So you look at that, and then you make steps. Incremental. This is not going to happen overnight. And that's the problem, is in America or Western society, we want everything to happen right away. That's why pharmaceutical industry is thriving, because they offer a pill for everything. Right? Here's a pill, no more pain. But with that creates another symptom and another symptom, another symptom, and snowballing effect. So start slow, and you don't see it. But if you look back look at all you guys here are healthy people. You look back over where you were at your darkest moment. I mean, I know Alice here, it's like, I've heard her story before, and it's very powerful. You wouldn't think someone like her had been through that, because it's unfathomable to see someone that, wow, they have dark moments. They're like beautiful. They have like it all going on. They do all this great stuff in their life. But you know what? It's the most triumphant people among us are those that have been to the darkest
Yes,
places.
absolutely. And I think that's actually like, so I think you sort of touched on that, but our suffering, our weakest thing, our weakest parts can actually be our superpowers. Because if we, it's also how we can relate with more people. Because if we didn't suffer what we have been through, if you hadn't been to the dark side and been an alcoholic and, really gotten sick, you wouldn't be able to relate with those. You wouldn't be able to be the healer that you are today and be compassionate and be able to, communicate to those people. So I think that we have to channel our, like you said, like that is so powerful, to go deep into go explore our shame, explore our weaknesses, and actually see how we can alchemize them to be our superpowers, which is how we actually use them to heal other people, and honor them. And so I want to just kind of like wrap up a little, just because I wanted to, make it so that we can easily just share this. So before we just open it for any questions, I just want to touch on that it's consistency and repetition. Like, to get good at anything, we need to do it like, they say like 10,000 times before you become an expert at anything. So even with sharing our truth, we have to do it often and daily, and exercise that throat chakra. Because I know that, Angelo, you used to, care more, but the more that you were like, well, your pain is what drove you to the mission of, waking people up, and your healing is what has given people, is giving you that why to pursue this message. And you have become an expert at sharing your vulnerability because you have been so consistent. You've been passionate and consistent about it. So I think that the passion is so important, the consistency, because we don't, even just with passion alone, we don't get there. We have to be consistent and practice every day. And repetition is really important, because as you said, there's new people coming to see us there's new people stumbling on our page every day, but also that even people who have been following us for years, it takes many times. I had heard your story a few times before I even understood it, like we need to hear it many times before it actually sinks in. So know that you're never bothering people by sharing your story over and over again. And we're all sharing different pieces of our story. We don't all just have one clean story. We all have, we're so multifaceted. We've been through so many different things, and we have to, get just comfortable with sharing all those stories that we've been through and everything. So does anyone have any questions for Angelo?
Well, you said 10,000 times to create, to become a master at anything, like 10,000 days of like playing the piano or whatever to become a master. Well, think about this, 10,000 days is 27 years if you do once a day. So maybe it takes 10,000 days of your life, 27 years of your life to become masterful at being a human, if you're even practicing and working at self-development. So who starts when they're born and has a clear path to when they're 27 to becoming a complete human being? No one. So that's why so many people are continually a work in progress.
Whoa, thank you for dropping that, putting that in perspective. And it's so true. I mean, we have a lifetime, and so we can't expect results also with our, even our audiences, to get things also right away. It takes so many exposures, and it takes so much of our sharing to be able to, like, even for it to sink into people. So, but yeah, exactly. We're a work in progress. And if we're consistent, then we could be lucky that in 27 years, we're going to be masterful humans, but we're all a work in progress here. None of us are, you know, and we have to share our vulnerability as we grow, because people don't want to see the finished result. They don't want to look at Angelo as the perfect healed specimen. They want to see the journey, because people need to relate with the process
struggle.
when they see that, you know. Even I've had people come to me and say, oh, I can do what you're doing, you're just perfect. And I'm like, you haven't, like, you gotta.
That's why hip hop stars get boring once they get rich and famous. Like, there's no more struggle, there's no more like reality there. People are like, I've lost interest. But share your trend, be transparent, be vulnerable, show your journey, show your mistakes, show your failures, and you'll resonate more with people.
Yes.
Yeah, man, that's why I'm never gonna make it to becoming a hip hop celebrity, because I don't want to sell out.
Don't sell out.
Yeah.
But it's true though. It's a good analogy, because in hip hop, it's true. We do get bored. Like, people get boring when they're all like, they're all rich, and you know, it's people don't resonate with that. They resonate with the struggle. So it's good to share, to start where we're at, and own where we're at, because that's solid ground. I think all of us can also just, like, you know, even if I started this, I was pretty rock bottom. Some of us started this at like a very rock bottom. I was on 5 medications, and I'm also, you know, like, there was a lot that I was, so it was great, because that gave me, like, that rock bottom is solid ground. If I, you know, I wouldn't be able to start climbing up if I wasn't just like accepted that low that I was at when I started this 3 years ago. But now it's like, and that's why it's so, you know, people can see the journey. So it's so important that wherever you're at, own it and accept where you're at, because it's only going to be steps up from there that you can take people along on the journey.
Absolutely. It's like I'm looking at all the people in the grid here. It's like all beautiful people, though. You know, we need some ugly people in here too, so we can, you know, we can really make some impact. Because look at these people. I'm looking at every single one of these people in here. They're good looking. So, you know, maybe we could bring in some sick people next time, or some overtly sick looking people. Because yeah, I'm serious. Everybody here looks great. So
Yeah. Thank you. Grace has a question. Grace.
Hi. Yes. Okay. I had a question for you, for everyone, you know, because I think we are in alignment in a lot of, you know, our approach, obviously, to things. And like I said earlier, I really appreciate how vocal people can be on Facebook and on these different topics that are, you know, so triggering for people. And, you know, we do need to bring our perspective and our solutions. Something I navigate for myself, and I'm really curious how you guys navigate this, is just that aggression, and how to not come from a defensive place, like how that could sometimes trigger defensiveness, like and how then I would respond. So I'm really curious, like, how you guys like stay grounded in this peace and this truth, and just not go into that defensive place, but just that place of, you know, sharing. And yeah, I hope that makes sense. I'm just really curious how you approach that.
it's a challenge. It is, because judgment and anger are huge parts of me. And I did almost 5 years of interfamily studies, you know, doing like interpersonal communication and internal family systems is the word I was looking for, IFS work. Dr. Richard Schwartz is the person to look into. He talks about these different parts of ourselves. And also Daniel Siegel is another person that I've been reading a lot of his books. And it's about like transmuting these different parts of ourselves. Anger, you'll hear people that have anger issues say all the time, anger is a gift. Well, maybe, but like, is that just a cop out so you can be angry all the time? So I think that all these things are mechanisms for us to protect ourselves, to survive. They're survival tools, but are they destroying relationships? I know that I've nearly destroyed a few of my closest relationships, and I'm still working on that because of anger and judgment. Those are probably the two greatest ones for me. And what does that say? What you are, I'm not what you think I am. You are what you think I am. That saying, like whatever we think, like you're angry at somebody, why? Think about it, like taking a step back. And I think with that, meditation comes in really key, because meditation gives us a moment to have that mind sight, as Dr. Daniel Siegel calls it, where you're kind of separated from having that sort of knee-jerk reaction to everything. But still, it's a work in progress. We're going to continue to mess up in life and make mistakes and hurt people that we love, and in turn hurt ourselves. So it's about having forgiveness and trying as much as you can to mitigate the amount that your ego comes into play in your life. Ego is essential. We need it. We need to have an ego, but to what extent? To protect itself from being challenged to our own like limiting, behavioral patterns. That's a great question that you asked, Grace. So it's something to think about for myself too.
Yeah. And I think that, well, we're not going to be for everyone. So we have to accept that, really off the bat, that we're just not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. And Mary Michelle actually brought up today on our call that she was triggered by someone who, came at her with aggression, and she just remembered to stay in love. And I think that, we have to it's like when we feel that trigger coming up, it's to just remind yourself or ask yourself, what would love do? Just be love. And if you're love, it doesn't matter what they do, or, you're in love. You're in love. And if they don't like it, they can fall off, but at least our integrity is to ourselves. Yeah. And I just want to say what Carla wrote here. I just want to see. Yeah. So don't feel you need to defend yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So sometimes it's true. We just need sometimes just taking that moment, and like Angelo said, that meditation, and not react. That's something that I'm working on as well, always. And I think all of us are at some extent just working on that. But don't let that stop you from speaking your truth. As long as it doesn't stop you, as long as you keep on going, it's going to be okay.
It's tough. It's easy to get on a platform where you're like a guest and like tell everybody, well, thank you. I made it to this level of success and my life is so wonderful. And it's not. It's a lot of fuck ups and a lot of dirty, dark times even now, but it's less than it used to be. And there's more self-awareness. I think self-awareness is important, and it's key, because when you do something, you like and recognize it right away, like, oh shoot, then you can like apologize or like own it, and just without owning it like in this Catholic way of like, oh, I'm so terrible, I need to go and flog myself like Arthur Dimmesdale in the Scarlet Letter, and like, I'm so terrible, I need to punish myself for all of my misgivings. No, it's being like, okay, let it go, start over. Because try to go a whole day without, judging somebody or judging yourself or doing something, it's hard. It's freaking near impossible. I don't know if I could do it, but it's good to be mindful of that and have that intention, that self-awareness and that intention to do right by yourself and others, and being true to yourself, because it's a balance between being like being kind and taking no shit, right? There's always that line, where do you draw it? Like, okay, I don't want to accept this person's like behavior towards me, but do I have to let my ego jump out and tell that person like, fuck off? No, like you just got to walk away. That's sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, because your ego wants you to say, like, you know, those people that come on your Facebook page and like, I'm unfollowing you, and then they unfollow you. It's like, just go, let's go, just leave. If you don't like it, just go. You don't need to tell them they're wrong. You don't need to be right. It's just the ego wants to be right, you know, and that's tough for me too, because I want to do that sometimes.
Yeah, and we have to remember they're in pain. If anyone is causing pain, it's because they're in pain themselves. So we have to, just as a few people have said here, to send them love and just let them go. So I think a lot of all of this, what comes down to, okay, so I'm going to kind of do, like, what this comes down to, all of this is self-love. Like, we need to, like, and actually that's what this cleanse is all about. You know, the ultimate lifestyle transformation is all about self-love and connecting with and healing ourselves and valuing ourselves, and then how we share and how we show up is about self-love. If we're coming from a place of love and we know we are acting in our, you know, in our highest self, to what we know to be now, because we're always evolving and changing, hopefully. So, but it is, you know, showing up as worthy, yes, and our voice matters, and we never know who is watching us, who just needs us to show up as ourself, because it is liberating when we see people like Angelo and just like all of you guys who are doing so amazing on social media, showing up as yourself. It is, you don't know the permission it's giving others who were told they could never do that before. Like, I was told I could never talk about my personal stuff out there, and I can never, you know, and I had all of my family members unfriend me. So don't let that stop you either. They all unfollowed me because they're embarrassed for me, and things like that. But I, like, as long as you don't have shame, like, we all have, you know, areas that we feel are our shame. And as Angelo said, like, shed light on those and let's use them as our superpowers, transmute them. And, like, you know, I think at the end of the day, it really does come down to, this is a relationship with ourself that we're just harnessing. And yeah.
Thank you for having me on here, Allison and Jared, and thank you all for showing up. I didn't realize we're going to have this many people here, and it feels good to share and to be, for Allison to ask me to do this. So thank you.
Thank you, Angelo. Thank you so much. So you guys all follow, I'm sure if you're not following him already, it's Rise Om. And you are going to get so inspired by his expression of how to communicate health and the Purium lifestyle, and just keep on doing what you're doing. Like, just don't stop growing and being you, because the world desperately needs you. We're so honored to have you here share with our you know, team. I love that there's just so many teams here together, and this is like really what it's all about. It's, you know, we're uniting, and I just think that this is the true rebellion of our times, our health and unity. So love you so much. Thank you.
You're all miracles here, you know. God don't make no trash, so you're here for a purpose, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. So go out there and express whatever you feel in your heart needs to be out there in the world. Be the change you want to see. Be the leader you needed. And yeah, just be yourself. Thank you.
Love you guys.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Angelo. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
See you out there.